Hey Internet! So, me and my friend went to Playlist Live this past weekend, which was the funnest weekend I've ever had in my entire life. If you don't know what Playlist Live is, it's basically a YouTuber convention where a bunch of famous YouTubers come and meet fans, and it's a lot of fun. I got to meet Brierly Bishop, who is super sweet, and I'm sorry that I interrupted you when you were trying to get your badge fixed. I met Tom Scott, who was super cool and nice and chill, and that was cool. And I met Dan and Phil. Saturday, me and my friend ended up going to the convention center pretty early, and we didn't realize that we were early, and the actual Playlist convention had a certain time that it started and wouldn't let people in beforehand. So we ended up waiting in line in this crowd, and we were just like chilling, and we're like, we don't know what we're doing, it's our first time at Playlist. So we walked around and we stood in this crowd, and then they let us in, and then we were just like, what are we gonna do? And we were like, I don't know. So we just followed the crowd, and we ended up finding the line area for meet and greet, and we had no idea what we were doing. And then people were like, oh my gosh, that's the Dan and Phil line. And we're like, I have art I'm gonna give them, and I have like 6 letters, so yeah, let's go get in line because we have nothing better to do, right? Which was a good thing that we got there so early, because there was a massive line and it was huge, and we ended up actually being towards the front of the line. But let me tell you something, if you're ever gonna be in a line for a long time, make sure you have snacks with you, because that's how you make friends. That's how I made friends. I made friends by sharing Twizzlers with people. But yeah. And I was showing people my art, and I got to meet Megan the night before in the lobby. I was like, "Hi, Megan, I have art, and I follow you on Tumblr." And she was like, "Oh my gosh, art!" And then she tweeted my art, which was cool. And anyways, so back to the line story. We were waiting in line, and I kept dropping my art and letters because I was nervous, and I was like, "Oh, I am so awkward." And then we went up to Dan and Phil, and we were there, and they were tall. Like, I was not expecting them to be as tall as they were, because I know they were tall, and people say that they're tall, but I'm like 5'11", and I was expecting Phil to be like 6'1" maybe, and Dan to be like 6'3". But no, Dan and Phil are like, Dan's about 6'3", 4, and Phil's about 6'2", and I was like, oh, okay, they're a lot taller than I expected. But I did not say it because I knew that they were going to get like a ton of people saying, hey, you're a lot taller than I expected. And I was like, oh, I don't want to be like that. But anyways, I was really awkward, and I was like, I was trying to say that I had art and letters for them. And if you want to see my art, here it is. And the envelope. But yeah, anyways, I was really awkward when I walked up to them, and I was like trying to explain to them. Phil, I guess, noticed that I was like nervous, and he was like, oh, here, just give me a hug. And he reached out and he hugged me, and it was great. And then Dan was like, you can have a hug from me too. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, I have art for you guys. So I showed Dan his art thing, and Dan was like, wow, did you draw this? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, that was amazing. And I was like, thanks. And then I went up to Phil, and I was like, Phil, you already saw this on Tumblr, which you weren't supposed to see on Tumblr. And I was like, crap, because like I was showing people on Tumblr that I drew Phil, and then Phil saw it. Spoiler alert. And Phil was like, oh, I remember this. And I was just like, Phil remembers my art. Because I look up to Dan and Phil because they're really cool guys. And he said my art was cool, and that was like the highlight of my life right there. And then we ended up walking around the Playlist area, and after we met Dan and Phil, I got it signed. See, that's Phil's signature, and I'm hiding my last name because I don't want you stalking me. Dan's signature. Yep. But yeah, that was really cool, and then I got to like talk to people, and that was fun. And then I was walking around the playlist area and I saw this girl dancing, and she was just like dancing. She's like, "Hey, you want to dance with me?" And I was like, "I can't dance, no." And she's like, "Oh, come on." And she just like grabbed me and made me dance with her. And then I realized she was a famous YouTuber that was walking around that asked me to dance with her, and I danced with a famous YouTuber, not realizing it. Whoops. Because I don't know everybody. Yeah, and I saw Jack and Finn twerk, which I have a video up on my channel, and I watched Dan and Phil's show, and I am the worst camera person ever. I am so sorry, please forgive me. But that's on my channel as well, and I'll have a link or whatever, however I can do that. And then there was like this thing about Nicolas Cage photos that were everywhere. Don't know why, but it was like a tag game, like, let's find them, right? And I danced at a party for the first time ever. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. I am definitely going back next year because I had a lot of fun, and now I know a lot more YouTubers. And the cool part about playlists was that little YouTubers can actually go on the Digitour stage and present themselves and sing and dance and show their talents to the world and let people know who they are, which is really cool about playlists because you can leave business cards around, you can leave buttons. Yeah, so that was really neat. Like, that's a cool way to get people to know who you are on YouTube. Of course, I didn't do anything because I don't have very many videos, but yeah. Anyways, so thank you for watching my video, and if you were at Playlist, you should leave a comment and we can talk about it in the comment section. And if you weren't at Playlist, you can ask questions too. And anyways, yeah, I like talking in my comment section, and I also have my Tumblr and my thingy. And if you like this video, like it, and yeah, I love you. Thank you for all the subscribers lately. Like, where'd you come from? Like, what? I love you guys. Thank you for subscribing. Like, you didn't have to do that, but thank you very, very, very much. I really appreciate it. And yeah, so I'm gonna start making more videos lately instead of going, hey, I made a video and then leave it be forever and ever and ever. I'm sorry about that if you've been subscribed to me and you actually care about my channel. I'm sorry. But yeah, I gotta go, so I'll see you later. Bye-bye!